Kunreisiki rōmaji is a cabinet-ordered Japanese romanization system, i.e.a. system for transcribing the Japanese language into the Latin alphabet. It is abbreviated as Kunreisiki. Its name is rendered Kunreisiki using Kunrei-shiki itself. Kunreisiki is sometimes known as the Monbusho system in English, because it is taught in the Monbusho-approved elementary school curriculum. The i.e.a. has standardized Kunreisiki under ISO 3602. Kunreisiki is based on the older Nihonshiki system, modified from modern Standard Japanese. For example, the word romanized kanazukai in Nihonshiki is pronounced kanazukai in common modern Japanese, and Kunreisiki uses the latter spelling. Kunreisiki competes with the older Hepburn romanization system, which was promoted by the authorities during the occupation of Japan. History. In the period before World War II, there was a political conflict between supporters of Hepburn romanization and supporters of Nihonshiki romanization. In 1930, a board of inquiry under the aegis of the Minister of Education was established to determine the proper romanization system. The Japanese government, by cabinet order, announced on September 21, 1937 that a modified form of Nihonshiki would be officially adopted as Kunreisiki. The form at the time differs slightly from the modern-day form. Originally, the system was called the Kokutei system. The Japanese government gradually introduced Kunreisiki. It appeared in secondary education, on railway station signboards, on nautical charts, and on the 1:1 million scale international map of the world. In the period when the central government had strong control, from 1937 to 1945, the Japanese government used Kunreisiki in its tourist brochures. In Japan, some use of Nihonshiki and modified Hepburn remained because some individuals supported the use of those systems. J. Marshall Unger, author of Literacy and Script Reform in Occupation Japan, reading between the lines, said that the Hepburn supporters understandably believed that the Kunreisiki compromise was not fair, because of the presence of the un-English-looking spellings that the modified Hepburn supporters had opposed. Andrew Horvath, author of Japanese Beyond Words, How to Walk and Talk Like a Native Speaker, argued that by forcing non-native speakers of Japanese with no intentions of learning the language to abide by a system intended for those who have some command of Japanese, the government gave the impression of intolerant language management that would have dire consequences later on. After the Japanese government was defeated in 1945, General Douglas MacArthur, the Supreme Commander for the Allied Powers, issued a directive, dated September 3, 1945, that stated that modified Hepburn was the method for transcribing Japanese names. Some editorials printed in Japanese newspapers advocated for only using Hepburn. Supporters of Hepburn denounced pro-Kunreisiki and pro-Nihonshiki advocates to the SCAP offices, accusing them of being inactive militarists, and of collaborating with militarists. Unger said that the nature of Kunreisiki led to pent-up anger among the Hepburn supporters. During the post-war period, several educators and scholars tried to introduce romanized letters as a teaching device and as a possibility of being a substitution for kanji. However, Kunreisiki had associations with Japanese militarism, and the U.S. occupying government was reluctant to promote it. On December 9, 1954, the Japanese government reconfirmed Kunreisiki as its official system. This time the Kunreisiki system had slight modifications done to it. Eleanor Jordan, an American linguist, made textbooks that used a modified version of Kunreisiki. They were used in the 1960s in courses given to U.S. diplomats. The use of her books did not change the U.S. government's hesitation to use Kunreisiki. As of 1974, according to the Geographical Survey Institute, Kunreisiki was used for topographical maps while modified Hepburn was used for geological maps and aeronautical charts. As of 1978, the National Diet Library used Kunreisiki. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of International Trade and Industry, and many other official organizations instead used Hepburn. In addition, the Japan Times, the Japan Travel Bureau, and many other private organizations used Hepburn instead of Kunreisiki. Legal status. The system was originally promulgated as Japanese Cabinet Order No. 3 as of September 21, 1937. But since this had been overturned by the SCAP during the occupation of Japan, the Japanese government repealed it and decreed again as Japanese Cabinet Order No. 1 as of December 29, 1954. The order mandated the use of Kunreisiki in the written expression of Japanese generally, with the provision that specific alternative spellings could be used in international relations, and where necessary to follow established precedent. See permitted exceptions for details. Kunreisiki has been recognized, along with Nihonshiki, in ISO 3602-1989. Documentation, romanization of Japanese by the ISO. It was also recommended by the American National Standards Institute after they withdrew their own standard. ANSI Z39.11-1972 American National Standard System for the Romanization of Japanese in 1994. Usage. Despite its official recognition, Japanese commonly choose between Nihonshiki, Kunreisiki and Hepburn for any given situation. However, the Japanese government generally uses Hepburn, especially for the romanization of Japanese names on passports, road signage, and train signage. Otherwise, the great majority of Western publications and all English-language newspapers use some form of Hepburn. Because Kunreisiki is based on Japanese phonology, it can cause non-native speakers to pronounce words incorrectly. John Hines, author of Japanese Descriptive Grammar, describes this problem as a major disadvantage. Additional complications appear with newer kana combinations such as team. In Hepburn, these would be distinguished as different sounds and represented timu and chimu respectively, giving better indications of the English pronunciations. For some Japanese speakers, however, the sounds t and I are the same phoneme. They are both represented in Kunreisiki as timu. Such complications may be confusing to those who do not know Japanese phonology well. Today, the main users of Kunreisiki are native speakers of Japanese and linguists studying Japanese. The main advantage of Kunreisiki is that it is better able to illustrate Japanese grammar, as Hepburn preserves the irregularity of certain conjugations. The most serious problem of Hepburn in this context is that it may change the stem of a verb, which is not reflected in the underlying morphology of the language. One notable introductory textbook for English speakers, Eleanor Jordan's Japanese, the Spoken Language, uses her JSL romanization of systems strongly influenced by Kunreisiki in its adherence to Japanese phonology, but adapted to teaching proper pronunciation of Japanese phonemes. Kunreisiki spellings of kana notes. Characters in red are obsolete in modern Japanese. When he is used as a particle it is written I, not he. When ha is used as a particle it is written wa, not ha. Wo is only used as a particle, written o. Long vowels are indicated by a circumflex. For example, long o is written o. Vowels separated by a morpheme boundary are not considered a long vowel. For example, is written omo, not omo. Syllabic N is written as N before vowels and Y but as N before consonants and is a word final. Geminate consonants are marked by doubling the consonant following the sokuon, without exception. The first letter in a sentence, and all proper nouns, are capitalized. ISO 3602 has the strict form, see Nihonshiki. Permitted exceptions. The cabinet order makes an exception to the above chart, limited to international relations and situations with prior precedent in which a sudden spelling reform would be difficult. Spelling may also be given by Chart 2. This exceptional clause is not to be confused with other systems of romanization and does not specifically relax other requirements such as marking long vowels.